Hello, my crafting friends. Do you want to see how I turn inexpensive thrifted kitchen items into cute primitive home decor? Then come craft with me. My name is Sarah, and welcome to my channel, Primroselaneprims. If you haven't done so already, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button and crafting again with me in the future. And with no further ado, let's jump right into these DIYs. With this first DIY, I found this little grater that one of my local thrift shops, it was only $2.99, and I thought this will be perfect to create some really cute primitive kitchen decor. I'll start by peeling the little sticker off. You can see it's an adorable little grater. And I'm going to start off first by adding a little hanger before I do anything else. And I'm just going to take a piece of, little scrap piece of this black and cream gingham homespun fabric, pop it right through that hole that's at the top of my grater, tying it and just creating a loop. So that way I have a way to hang it. Next, I'm going to make a little rag bow to go on this. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this here to see approximately how big I want my loops of my bow to be. I don't want the bow to be too overwhelming on the top of it. So once I decided, I'm just going to lay my fabric out, and I'm going to start with this black and cream gingham. This is one of my favorites. I'm just always drawn to this fabric. And I'm going to make 2 loops on each side with this black and cream. Then I'm going to go in with this pillow ticking. It's like a tea stain pillow ticking. And I'm going to do 2 loops of it as well. Lastly, I'm going to add some scraps of cheesecloth that I had here. I'm just going to take and double that over. Wasn't big enough to do more than 1 loop with these little scraps that I have. These little rag bows are great for using up little pieces of scrap fabric. Just lay it down, make 1 little loop, and there we go. Those little scraps that were too small for most other things were perfect for this. So I'm going to take another little piece of my little pillow ticking, and I'm going to just wrap it right around the center, flip it over, and then tie it down tightly in the back. And I'm going to leave my tails of this knot a little longer because I'm going to use this to attach it to my grater here in just a second. After I fluff all my little loops out just a little bit. Here I'm just going to take the tail of this where I tied this bow, pop it right through that hole in the top of the cheese grater, and I'm going to just tie it right on there. That way that's going to be nice, secure, and it's not going to go anywhere. Fluff it out a little bit. Now I wanted the cheesecloth it was just a little too pristine. So going with my antique wax from Walmart here, I'm just going to dry brush some of this antique wax right over top of my cheesecloth because, like I said, it just looked a little too pristine and I wanted it to be a little more primitive and grungy. And friends, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to drop down and hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and crafting again with me in the future. Now the ends of my little cheesecloth here, it has a sewed edge, and I just trim those off because I want my edges to be frayed, I don't want that sewed edge on my cheesecloth. Now I have this little greener here. This is from Hobby Lobby. It's $1.99, one of the little stems from Hobby Lobby. It kind of looks like rosemary, a little bit, a rosemary sprig. And I'm going to just trim off a larger piece here in the center. I want this to go in the middle here, kind of hanging down underneath my bow. So I'm just going to kind of mess with it here just a little bit, just to decide kind of where exactly I want this to hang, how low, in comparison with my bow. And then using some hot glue, tacking that right down, right underneath there. And I'm even going to press my bow there into some of that glue as well. That'll help keep that bow from sliding around since it was tied on and keep it straight. Now, I had a sweet subscriber about a month or so ago who said adding a little bit of antique wax to your plastic faux greenery helps take away some of that fake look. So I wanted to try it with this project, and oh my goodness, it absolutely does. I absolutely love this. It really gives it almost like a dried look, like almost like a rosemary spray that's drying. It takes away some of that shiny plastic look that faux greenery can have sometimes. So Judy, if you are watching, thank you so much for that tip. Absolutely beautiful. I love this. I will definitely continue doing this because look, just look how much better that makes that look. It just takes that shininess away. Now for the center of my bow, I'm going to take one of these little rusty hearts and I'm just going to hot glue it right into the center of my bow here to complete my little project. And oh my goodness, look how cute. This whole project was under $5 and it's going to look so cute hanging in my kitchen. For this next project, we're going to be making a little crow bowl filler or even a little poke if you wanted to out of this. But I'm going to start off by, I'm going to just draw my own little crow pattern here just by hand, make a nice little primitive looking crow. This is definitely not going to be perfect, but I think that's the beauty of the primitive. It's perfectly imperfect. So I'm just going to cut my little pattern out here and I will link my pattern down in the description box, the one I drew if you like it. If you don't want to draw your own, you could trace out your own. And if you wanted to print one out off of like clip art, you could do that too. But if you want this one, I will gladly link it down so that you can print it out yourself. And I just use some black felt here. This is just Dollar Tree black felt that I had on hand. And I just trace my pattern right onto that with actually a little chalk pen and cut out my pattern. And I'm going to use some hot glue to just go right around the edges and start putting my two pieces together. You could, if you're one who likes to sew, you could absolutely hand stitch this or pop it on a machine. And sometimes I do that, but today we're going to do the no sew variety. So now once I get just a little bit past the head here, I don't want to glue any further. I want to stop and I want to go ahead and add some stuffing to the head of my crow, because if you keep going down, it makes it a little harder to get the stuffing down into the tip of his little beak here. And if you've seen me before, you know I love to use upcycle plastic bags to fill little bowl fillers. It's a really budget-friendly way to stuff these bowl fillers, and it uses up some of those always accumulating plastic bags. I know they never seem to end in my house. Just when I think I get rid of them all, they come right back. But you could absolutely use stuffing as well, whatever your preference is. But once I get the head and the beak stuff, then I'll continue going down his sides here. Not all the way yet, because we're going to want to add more stuffing, obviously. So I just stuff that the rest of the way using my little pencil here just to get my stuffing up into my little crow. And just kind of place my stuffing kind of where I'm going to want it in his little tail here. Add my glue around it and then press the edges tightly together. Little piece of bag trying to pop out there. Now for a little wing, I'm just going to take a little scrap piece of my felt here that from where I cut out the body of my crow, and I'm just going to create a little teardrop on my shape for his wing. And I'm going to hot glue that right to his side. On the little pattern that I drew, I included this wing pattern as well on it. So there's our body of our little primmy crow. So to decorate him, I'm going to go in with some of this cheesecloth again. I'm just going to tie it right around his neck just once for right now. Don't want to go too tight. I don't want to squeeze the edges. And then taking a piece of this little faux looking rosemary sprig, I'm going to just cut a little small section of it off there. And I'm going to trim that edge down. I don't want that to look like the edge of a artificial greenery. I want it to look like it's been snipped off an actual, rosemary plant. Add a little dab of hot glue right in the center of where I tied that cheesecloth, and then tie it in a knot over top. Trim these little tails down. Fray my edges of my cheesecloth a little bit. And I'm going to go in my Waverly Antique Wax again, and I'm just going to dry brush this right over top of the cheesecloth, just like I did on that first project, just to give it a nice little bit of grunging. This little thing just keeps laying. It's just not happy. I'm going to kind of twist it around, and that's better. I can see his face a little better. So I'm going to go ahead and take my antique wax. I'm going to just go ahead and kind of dry brush it over the entire grow. It's kind of hard to see on this black felt in the camera. I'll bring it a little closer in a second, but it just has a little bit of grunging effect to this felt. And I'm going to go over the greenery again, just like I did on that first one. And of course, don't forget the back. The final thing I want to do to add just a little bit more grunging is I'm just going to sprinkle some cinnamon here and there all over, kind of rub it in a little bit. I made the mistake of not using a plate, so my tablecloth now has a little bit of cinnamon. It smells good too now. These make great bowl fillers. You could also put a dowel rod in it before you glued them up to make like a little poke to stick down in, say, a little arrangement. So cute. The last thing I do is I'm going to take one of my little paper tags from Amazon, and I'm going to write Old Crow on it, crumple it up, and then use my antique wax to distress it, and then just hot glue it right there underneath that knot of my cheesecloth, the little faux rosemary, and there is our little crow. Now hang on to this little guy because you're going to see him again here in a minute. This last DIY, I'm going to take this old sifter. I found this at my Goodwill. It was only $2.10. That might be one of the cheaper things I found at my Goodwill in a long time. So it's definitely seen better days. It has some rust down in there. And I thought this would be perfect. This will be perfect for a little project to go right in my kitchen along with my little grater that we made. So I'm going back in once again with this black and cream homespun fabric, just a strip of it I ripped off, and I'm going to hot glue the strip right here into the center of my sifter. And I want to go in and I want to make another little rag bow just like I did for the grater after I trim off all these strings. Oh, I love homespun fabric, but man, it likes to be stringy. So I'm just going to go in and make another little rag bow just like I did with the first one. I'm going to use the black and tan check here, doing 2 loops. I'm going to go in with that same tea stain pillow ticking like I did on the first one, as well as the cheesecloth for this little bow. I really enjoy thrift shopping. It's one of my favorite little pastimes. It's kind of like a little treasure hunt. I love looking for items, kind of like this little sifter that may get passed over. Maybe it's like missing a piece, or like this sifter that has some rust, and then trying to figure out how I can give it a new lease on life. Who else out there loves the thrift shop? What are your favorite thrift finds? Drop me a comment. Tell me what your favorite items are to thrift, or what's your favorite item you have ever found while out thrifting. I love to hear about the things other people find and the treasures that they find at theirs and different places. To get all my little pieces added to my little bow here, I'm just going to tie it off with another scrap piece of this little fabric here, and it was giving me kind of a hard time turning it over there. Just tying it down tightly in the back of the little knot. And once again, I'm just going in with the Waverly Antique Wax just to give this a little bit of grunging, a little bit of distressing, trim off those finished edges on that cheesecloth and fraying them a little bit. Getting a little bit of the antique wax on my rest of my bow too, because why not add a little extra grunging? Then I'm going to add some hot glue and just put it right here where those two pieces of the black and cream gingham come together. It'll hide that seam, and then trim down my tails because they're definitely longer than my sifter. I don't want them hanging over that far, so I'm just going to trim these down. Once again, I'm going to go in with one of my little rusty hearts here. A little rusty star would also be cute too. But I had a couple of these hearts left, and I thought these would be the perfect projects for them. Now for the inside of my sifter, I want to add a little bit of filler. I'm just using some plastic bag here. You could use craft paper, you could use stuffing, whatever. But I'm just using some plastic bags here just to fill in. You're not going to see it. And then I'm going to take some Spanish moss, and I'm going to cover this whole top here, and I want it to hang over a little bit, but it looks a little wild, so I'm going to take a little hot glue here just right around the edge to press that Spanish moss down in to secure it right there over the edge. Now I'm going to kind of tuck my fingers in there, kind of make some space, and here's that crow again. I told you you'd be seeing it again. And I'm going to slip it right down into the center of my sifter here. Add a little hot glue down in there to make sure it stays in place. And then I'm going to take some more Spanish moss and just fill in around the center here, around the crow. And this little pipberry candle ring, this is one of the really smaller ones. I just kind of snipped it here with my wire cutters to open it up so that I could fit it around my crow, kind of nestle it down into that Spanish moss. Get an idea of what that's looking like. It wasn't quite full enough for me though, so I'm taking just some sprigs of this maroon and cream pip berries that I had. This was off another stem that I'd ripped apart a while ago for other projects, and I'm going to take 3 of these. These are a little bit longer, and I'm just going to stick them on there, wrap them around just to kind of fill in and give these pip berries a little more fuller look. And look how cute this little guy is. This is going to go on a shelf in my kitchen. I absolutely love how it turned out. Both of today's projects were under $15 for both. 2 thrifted treasures given all new purpose. So cute, so budget friendly. That is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to drop me a comment. Let me know what of today's was your favorites. And until next time, thanks for watching. God bless.